Welcome back to Movies on the Brain, where we tackle the funniest, quirkiest films that bring the laughs. I'm Jason. Today I'm cruising into the absurd, and lovable world of Paul Blart Mall Cop. Directed by Stephen Carr, Paul Blart Mall Cop is a lighthearted comedy that combines action, heart, and plenty of slapstick humor. Starring Kevin James, Keira O'Donnell, and Jayma Mays, this film takes us on a wild ride through one man's unconventional approach to mall security. In Paul Blart Mall Cop, we follow an unlikely hero who proves that determination, heart, and a trusty Segway can go a long way. Let's dive into this comedic adventure and see what makes it a feel-good favorite. Paul Blart Mall Cop opened in theaters on January 16, 2009 with a budget of $26 million. During its 19-week theatrical run, it earned $146.3 million domestically and $37 million internationally, making a worldwide total of $183.3 million. Its opening weekend saw it earn $31.8 million, finishing number one in the box office ahead of Hotel for Dogs, Notorious, My Bloody Valentine, and Gran Torino, numbers 5 through 2 respectively, with all except Gran Torino opening the same weekend. Its final week in theaters saw it earn $190,192, finishing its box office run at number 32. Paul Blart lives in West Orange, New Jersey with his young daughter Maya and his mother. Aspiring to join the New Jersey State Police, he trains at the police academy, but his hypoglycemia causes him to collapse before finishing the physical fitness test, leading Blart to work as a security guard at the West Orange Pavilion Mall. Blart patrols the mall on a Segway and begins training Beck Sims, a trainee who shows little interest in the job. Meanwhile, Blart becomes acquainted with Amy Anderson, a vendor of a new kiosk. Paul meets her one evening at a restaurant with other mall employees. Things go initially well, but when Blart participates in a nacho eating contest with his friend Leon, the jalapeno peppers are too spicy for him and he chugs 2 glasses of margarita, mistaking it for lemonade. He gets drunk and makes a wild exit by falling through a window. 2 days later, on Black Friday, an organized gang of thugs disguised as Santa's Village employees begin a heist inside the mall. They take Amy and others inside a bank hostage, and Sims is revealed as the gang's leader. The crew force the majority of shoppers to exit the mall and place motion sensors at each entrance to detect any attempt to enter or exit the building. Blart is oblivious as he plays Rock Band before walking back into the mall to discover that it is nearly empty. He calls the police and leaves the mall, but realizes Amy is still inside when he spots her car and returns to the mall to look for her. A SWAT team arrives with Commander James Kent at the helm. Kent, a former classmate bully from Blart's childhood, takes control of the police units and orders Blart to leave them to handle the situation. Blart refuses and attempts a rescue. Vastly outnumbered, he takes a stand against Sims' crew, improvising to take them down one by one. He discovers credit card codes written in invisible ink on the burglar's arms, realizing that their plans go beyond robbing the bank. Unaware of this, Maya shows up at the mall to bring Blart some food, but Sims' henchman sees her and add her to the hostages. Blart manages to subdue all of Sims' accomplices and attempts to rescue the hostages by pulling them up into the air vent. The plan fails when Leon doesn't fit. Sims enters the room, capturing Blart and forcing him to give up the codes recorded on his cell phone. Sims flees, taking Maya and Amy with him. As the SWAT team raids the mall, Blart borrows a displayed minivan with Kent, pursuing Sims to the airport where he is attempting to escape to the Cayman Islands. After a brief scuffle, Blart overpowers Sims and puts him in handcuffs. Moments later, however, Kent pulls his gun on Blart, revealing that he was working with Sims. Kent demands the phone containing the codes from Blart, who refuses and destroys the phone. Before Kent can retaliate by shooting Blart, Chief Brooks of the mall security team arrives and shoots Kent in the arm. Kent and Sims are both arrested, and Amy and Maya are returned safely. For his bravery and assistance, Howard offers Blart a job with the New Jersey State Police. Blart declines, preferring to remain in mall security. Blart and Amy are eventually married in the mall, where they exchange vows on a set of black and white Segways. Now let's look at the cast and some of the other roles they've had. Kevin James as Paul Blart. Other roles for Kevin James include Dominic and Becky, Dr. Fox in Little Boy, and President Will Cooper in Pixels. Jayma Mays as Amy Anderson. Other roles for Jayma Mays include Grace Winslow in The Smurfs 1 and 2, Emma Pillsbury in the TV show Glee, and Ruby in Disenchanted. Keir O'Donnell as Vex Sims. Other roles for Keir O'Donnell include FBI agent Anson Clark in Ambulance, Randy in The Hammer, and Oliver in The Incarnate. Bobby Cannavale as Commander James Kent. Other roles for Bobby Cannavale include Paxton in Ant-Man, Jake Fernandez in Parker, and Connor Brody in Old Dads. Adam Ferreira as Sergeant Howard. Other roles for Adam Ferreira include Frank Varelli in the TV show Nurse Jackie, Sal in Lost Cat Corona, and Cassidy in The Pack. Peter Garrity as Chief Brooks. Other roles for Peter Garrity include Abington Carr in Flight, McKenna in God's Pocket, and Mr. Plum in My Dog Tulip. Stephen Ranazizi as Stewart. Other roles for Stephen Ranazizi include Kevin in the TV show The League, Charles in The Locksmith, and Steve in the TV show Daddy Knows Best. Jamal Mixon as Leon. Other roles for Jamal Mixon include Jamal Evans in Gridiron Gang, Tugboat and Step in the Movie, and Nelson in The Cookout. Adhir Kalyan as Bahood. Other roles for Adhir Kalyan include Jenny Patel in the TV show Rules of Engagement, Paul Goodwin in A Nice Girl Like You, and Kevin in No Strings Attached. Eric Avari as VJ. Other roles for Eric Avari include Johnny in Love and Debt, Sergeant Pincus in Dispatch, and Cecil Anderson in Mr. Deeds. Rainey Rodriguez as Maya Blart. Other roles for Rainey Rodriguez include Trisha De La Rosa in the TV show Austin and Alley, Sammy Gutierrez in the TV show Jurassic World Chaos Theory, and Tess Torres in Prom. Shirley Knight as Margaret Blart. Before her passing in April of 2020, other roles for Shirley Knight included Mercy in Mercy, Marie in Redwood Highway, and Helen in The Other Side of the Tracks. Bernie McInerney as the old man on the scooter. Other roles for Bernie McInerney include Paul Hogan in The Kitchen, the priest in The Word, and the doctor in Humor Me. Alan Covert as the jerky security guard. Other roles for Alan Covert include Alex in Grandma's Boy, Sammy in The Wedding Singer, and Soul Patch in Just Go With It. Gary Valentine as a karaoke singer. Other roles for Gary Valentine include Eric Ross in Here Comes the Boom, Dallas in Jack and Jill, Spike in Grumpy Old Santa. Mike Vallely as Rudolph. The only other role Mike Vallely has had is Nico in The Hangover Part 1 and 3, and Part 3. Mike Escamilla as Blitzen. Other roles for Mike Escamilla include Scrope in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, the BMX announcer in The Ride, and a paramedic in Studio 666. Jason Ellis as Prancer. This has been Jason Ellis's only role so far. Jason Packham as Comet. The only other role for Jason Packham has been Brad in the TV show King of Queens. Rick Thorne is Cupid. Other roles for Rick Thorne include Redneck Rick and White T, Ian in Alien Vampire Busters, and himself in Triple X. Victor T. Lopez as Don. The only other role Victor T. Lopez has had is Recom Lopez in Avatar: The Way of Water. Natasha Hopkins as Vixen. Other roles for Natasha Hopkins include Keisha in Straight Outta Compton, Sharon Warwick in The Mentalist, and Amy in Real Talk. You know, the intro to this movie is so good. right away you get a feel for Kevin James' character. He pushes himself to do the physical portion of police training, only for his hypoglycemia to make him fall short of passing it. And just from the first interaction, I like the chemistry between Kevin James, Rainy Rodriguez, and Shirley Knight. Paul getting signed up on a dating website by his mom and daughter is really funny to me. It furthers my liking of the chemistry between the three. The slow motion of Paul staring at Amy will never not be funny, especially him running into the minivan on his Segway. Honestly, I enjoyed the introduction to Vec. It's pretty comical because you don't get a vibe that he's a bad guy, but you get the vibe that he's both confused and disgusted by Paul. Paul issuing a citation to the elderly man on the scooter had to be a fun scene to shoot. You know how Kevin James, Bernie McInerney, or Carol O'Donnell didn't just bust out laughing, especially when Kevin James slid down to his stomach and then onto his back. I really do like the chemistry between Kevin James and uh, Jamie Mays as well. Kevin James playing the nervous guy perfectly. I don't know why, but the scene in Victoria's Secret it will always be funny to me, especially the exchange about the citizen's arrest. The fight scene after Paul calls the woman fat is actually really well done, and Paul screaming back up to Vec while he just standing there dumbfounded is funny. Plus, seeing Adam Sandler's wife as the cashier in Victoria's Secret was a really nice surprise. After Paul says Amy getting a ride on his Segway could get him fired, she agrees, which almost gives you the impression that she's not a good person until you see how much fun they both have on their way out. Amy getting excited about seeing Paul at the karaoke bar was cute, and Paul popping a lot of gum before going to sit down just shows how nervous he is. Honestly, Stewart is so annoying, but that just shows how good Stephen Rannazzisi is at getting under people's skin when in this kind of role. That coming to Paul's aid when Stewart is bad mouthing him is honestly one of the best scenes in this movie because it really leads you to believe that Vec is actually a pretty decent guy. Paul being drunk is probably the funniest scene in this movie because of how he acts with VJ at the bar, all touching him and all that. Paul talking to Amy while he's drunk is genius writing because it hammers home the idea that drunk words are sober thoughts. It gets Paul to basically admit to Amy he likes her even though it blows up in his face. Paul being depressed about how he acted around Amy really shows how sensitive a guy he is. It's a hard thing to go through. I do love that moment with Maya and Paul. Rainy Rodriguez is such a good actress, even at 16, which is, well, 16 when this movie came out, I should say. Paul playing Guitar Hero as the mall is emptied is an interesting choice, but it makes sense that he be occupied so he isn't suspicious of anything until he finishes. I love the actual reveal that Vec is the leader of the guys who took over the mall. I love how well shot and well acted it was by everyone involved. Here, Kalyan is a really good actor. Him and Kevin James have some really good chemistry. I wouldn't mind seeing them in some more movies together, honestly. The guys who are getting the codes are really good at parkour, and most, if not all, the shots of doing parkour or stunts on bikes and boards are really fantastic, I thought. The phone call with Sergeant Howard was really good, and the whole bit about Vec wanting a Happy Meal will always get a chuckle out of me. The way Paul took out Vixen was funny, and how he reacted to dropping her in the dressing room was great. I really thought it was anyway. I do like that even though Paul took out one of the guys and basically locked him in a tanning bed, he still puts on the goggles on the guy while the tanning bed is running, just to still show that he is a good guy. After Maya gets caught, her telling Amy that Paul really likes her is such a nice scene after a handful of tense moments. I'm really liking the chemistry between everyone in this. No one is really outshining anybody except maybe Keir O'Donnell, who's absolutely crushing it as Vec. Paul getting a sucker off the floor just to keep his blood sugar up is an interesting scene, but I think it works. I love the addition of adding slow motion to when Paul sweeps the last thug's leg and snatches him in the stomach with a bat. Really cool sequence and perfect. It was perfect placement of slow motion. The plot twist of James Kent and Vec working together was so real well written, and how it's shot is actually really nice as well. This movie is a true definition of a rom-com with action in it as well. It's still pretty good even 16, almost 17 years later. I really don't remember much about the second one, so when I tackle this one, when I tackle that one, it'll pretty much be a fresh watch. Now let's look at some fun facts and trivia. Two of Kevin's real life family members are seen in this family in this film. The karaoke singer is his older brother Gary Valentine, and the woman with two children who Paul helps is his wife, Stefania de la Cruz. The first movie ever released in January to gross over $100 million during its initial release. By the time this movie was released in American theaters, there were no longer any sharper image retail stores of the movies from Happy Madison Productions that Adam Sandler co-produces without also acting. This is the most successful and the only one without Sandler on screen to reach over $100 million. And that's it for my review of Paul Blart Mall Cop. This film brings plenty of laughs, heart, and a reminder that even the unlikeliest heroes can save the day. If you enjoyed this review, don't forget to like and subscribe to Movies on the Brain for more fun-filled breakdowns. And stay tuned, I'll be reviewing Paul Blart Mall Cop 2 at some point in the future, so be sure to check back for that one. Let me know in the comments your favorite Paul Blart moment. Thanks for watching, and until next time, remember, a hero can ride in on anything, even a Segway.